Hey everybody, MSOM 600. Week 2 is in the books, and you made it through another week. So, congratulations on that. I just want to talk a little bit about the past week, some of my observations, and as I'm in the middle of grading your work this week, these things are just coming to mind. So, I thought I would reach out and give you kind of a recap on week 2. This week, you talked about the introduction, and we talked in particular about the purpose statement. And then what you'll see is would be my comments on the purpose statement, and then the hook. The hook being that thing that gets people interested in wanting to read further. So what I want you to do is make sure that you look at my discussion video that I put in the discussion forum for week 2, because that includes and has um, quite a bit of my thoughts on both the purpose statements and the hook. Also, look at my comments down the right-hand margin on your papers this week, because I'm pretty detailed this week on those, and I give you some ideas on how to structure your introduction, with your hook being at the start and your purpose statement being at the end. Um, this week in your readings and short answer, you were challenged to be a rereader, and if you reread things, you'll become a much better writer, or you can become a much better writer. I want you also to get used to asking questions, these mental questions that you will ask. I want you to understand your audience, because if you understand your audience, um, then your paper will be much more focused and make much more sense. Um, and in this one in particular, you need to go back to week 1 and look at the instructions there, because I give you quite a bit of detail. Your audience would be um, university enrollment folks who are trying to do X, Y, and Z. Remember that your purpose statements should be driven off of the customer, or it should be driven off of the audience and not you. Sometimes you may have an intention of writing a paper, but if you forget about the audience and it just becomes some sort of self-narrative, then the only person, or and the main person who would be interested in that would be you. And I don't think you're writing, a paper just for your own benefit. It should have some purpose, some audience that you're focused on. And then finally, I want to spend some time on this, because this is really important. And it's something I normally do at week 2, week 3. You need to write all of your papers in third person, not in first. So if you have I, we, or anything that would make this sound like a narrative or a conversation, you need to get rid of it. And there are several reasons for that. First of all, papers and proposals are informational, they're not conversational. So this isn't a blog. This is not a discussion forum. It is a paper where you are to be seen as an unbiased third party who has done research on this particular topic, and you're presenting your findings to the audience. When you write in first person, it implies bias in your writing. It implies that, oh, I had a personal experience, so therefore I'm going to project my personal experience onto everything else and call it fact. Well, that's not the case. And quite frankly, that's one of the challenges that we have in society today, is everyone thinks their opinion is right, and they think that just because they experience X, that everyone else is going to experience X the same way. That's not the case. That's why you do research. That's why you have surveys. That's why people are different. And so the only time in this class, and then also in your subsequent classes, that you can write in first person is if the professor specifically says, I want you to use first person, talk about personal experience. Other than that, you got to go through and eliminate the I, eliminate the we, eliminate anything that appears conversational in that. Now, here's where personal experience can come in. For example, in your motivations for going back to college, they can be yours and many others. But you need to take that and not put it in your paper. It needs to help drive your research. That you will say, okay, the reason I'm going back to college is I want to have career advancement. Okay, well, you could say that in your paper, and then that would be first person. So that'd be, a big corky no-no, right? But what you can do is take that idea on why you're going back and what your motivations are, and use it as a research tool to say, I wonder if there is a researcher out there who has written an article that talks about the motivations for adult students or non-traditional students to go back to college. So your personal experience can drive your thought process that will help you conduct your research. You just can't say it in your paper though. Okay? So that's one of the things I want to get cleaned up here before you get into the details of your paper. I noticed there were some of you in your introductions where you used I, you used we, and the other things. And when you see that, you got to get rid of it and start as this independent um, person going forward. All right. Have a good week. If you need me, contact me.